few people possess the rare qualities that you have.
Ooh! Wow! No wonder we became friends.
Hi friends of I Love Kalihi Vlogs. In today's episode, I'd like to call it, Am I an American or Americant? I cracked up a joke, I know, sorry. But it's from an old sitcom about immigrants, and that's how I remember that joke. The reason why, or that's the title today, is because 40 years ago, my parents and I arrived in Hawaii, and to help me celebrate, or to at least kind of help me look back, is my good friend Sol de la Cruz Ferrer. You know, I think my family arrived on a Saturday, and the following day we went to church, my parents and I, and one of the first few people I met was Sol. And I'm sure you know her. You've seen her in almost every episode of my vlog. I invited her to be hosting this vlog today. She'll be asking me questions, and we just kind of talk stories, nothing serious. So Sol is a paralegal. She has an only child who's also a lawyer, and she's now a grandparent, and I think she's very proud of that. She had her stint with the media. She's met people that she's interviewed, and actually we're thinking maybe of having another episode wherein we're going to reminisce about somebody we've met that she interviewed who's kind of hitting it big time. So we'll look out for that. Okay, so without further ado, here's my good friend Sol.
Hi there, friends. I love
you recognize
Kalihi.
her.
Here I am. I've been with Teda for over 40 years. Well, I guess 40 years since she's celebrating her 40 years in Hawaii. And we've been friends for a long time and still going strong. So very good.
I know, we're like, when we first met, we're not instantly friends or anything. You're very mature, even though you only a few years older than me. You already had a boyfriend.
Yes, my boyfriend and I picked her up. We picked her up and her family. We brought them to church, and I was thinking, where's this kid? You know, fresh from the Philippines, fresh off the boat.
No, but fresh off the plane.
Oh, that's true. Plane, not the boat.
During my time,
By the way,
plane.
You know, when they said that people came by boat, I had this impression there was a small boat. One day I was talking to my husband because he came by boat. It's one of those cruises. You know, it was like a cruise.
It's a ship.
It's a ship.
Yes.
When did you arrive in Hawaii and how old were you?
I was only 15 when I arrived. And let's see, I was turning 16, I guess, after several months. But that was May 2. And I could not forget the date because I had a classmate whose cousin's birthday is the same day, May 2, and his name is Tommy. They call him Mito. His name is Tommy.
Tommy, me too. Okay.
Hello, Tommy Alvarado. That's Glenn's brother.
Oh,
older brother.
wow.
Yes, so I could not forget that his birthday is May 2, and they call him Mito.
Oh, I get it.
Tommy.
It was like, oh, all right, me too. When you arrived, what were the first places that you went to?
The first thing I remember when we arrived, I think my uncle took me to McDonald's.
Okay.
And I couldn't finish a Big Mac. That was too huge for me already.
It's so big. You know, someone coming from the Philippines, that's a big meal.
And then the next place where he took me was, it used to be MJ's.
MJ's? What is that? Foodland?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It used to be MJ's. So we went to buy some food, and then the next thing where he took me was Kalihi Library.
Were you surprised with the shopping or the supermarket here?
Because I see that in the Philippines, but it's just much bigger.
Oh, okay. Because I was fascinated, you know, the array of fruits.
Yeah, it looks so well arranged.
So
and it's pretty, perfect looking. Perfect. I'm so glad that my uncle took me to Kalihi Library, because that would become like a place for me to hang out, because I had May, June, July, August to September to do nothing. Library. Okay, this is what it is. That was a big deal for me because in the Philippines, my group of friends and we would read love stories, and it's the the publishing company in the Philippines is called Mills and Boon, but in America, it's the same authors, the same stories, but it's published by Harlequin.
Yeah, Harlequin.
Yes.
Those romances.
So when I would go often to the library, the public library, I found that they have all those, novels. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like a big deal to me because in the Philippines, you have to buy your own.
So that was your summer reading love stories.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm like, so that was a big deal because that's like, for me, that would be my plenty of going to America, having plenty of those books for free.
That's true, because it's not readily accessible in the Philippines, right?
You have to buy your own books. So what we do is we each buy different, authors, different novels, and then we pass it around. So we all get to read, and after that we discuss the stories.
Yeah.
So that's our little book club.
What were your challenges in migrating to this new country?
First of all, I didn't really want to come here because when you're a teenager, you have friends you grew up with, right? You have close friends. And I told my parents, oh, just go to Hawaii, just send me money.
There you go.
Because I thought, I'd just have a good life. And then my mom said, oh, are you sure? Of course, they would never let me stay there. But are you sure? Because there might not be any more chance for you to go to Hawaii if we leave you. And I'm like, okay. Anyway, it's hard for a teenager to be uprooted and to start over in a new place. Although, because I have relatives here, it was nice in the beginning, and I think the church played a big role for me in how to adapt with living in Hawaii. So, if I had a hard time, I guess in school, it's more like because people treat you differently because you're an immigrant. In fact, the Filipinos in Hawaii who were raised or whatever, they've been here longer than you, they always make you feel that. Back then. Now I think it's much better, but the Filipinos back then, when you're an immigrant, they make you feel you're different from them. And actually somebody told me that.
Interesting.
Did you feel that? I know you were like 12 when you came, right?
I was 11 when I came. It was a little bit different. My experience was a little bit different. I acclimated real quickly.
You see how she speaks well. That's why. We actually have I remember how my title was saying if I'm an American or American.
Yeah.
One of our friends' sons said, Mom, is Anto Sol American? And we're like, oh, okay, we know what you mean. She speaks very well.
That was before. As I grew older, I got closer to my roots. Now my daughter said, you've gotten more Filipino as you've aged. That's not a bad thing.
Yes,
I actually like it.
It's so funny because she hasn't lost the language, even though she came here when she was much younger. She could speak Ilocano, but you would not hear her unless she has to. And when she does, we're like, we forget.
They were so surprised.
Yeah, she would not speak Tagalog unless she has to. Like in the church, she would speak to the minister if she has to, and then they would be like, oh, okay.
I surprised her one day because I wrote something in Tagalog, and she said, you can write in Tagalog.
It's deep Tagalog. It's not like Kanto Tagalog or Taglish. No, it was formal, Filipino language.
I don't know. For some reason, I retained it because you're taught Tagalog in the school. And then I used to love reading comics, the Tagalog comics. And I had a friend in the Philippines, so you wrote in Tagalog.
She had a pen pal.
Boyfriend. What was your impression when you first started school? Tell us your story.
My first day, of course, knowing that I'm an immigrant, put you in this section, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they said, okay, you can't go to class yet. They have to kind of see first how's your English, where they're gonna place you. It's like a placement thing. I kind of felt insulted when the teacher said, okay, look at this picture and can you write a sentence in English? And I'm like, oh, I was so appalled. So I wrote a paragraph.
What was the picture?
That's why I can't remember. I was just kind of upset to be asked if I could write a sentence in English. But it's so understandable because a lot of the immigrants never spoke English or couldn't speak
From
English
the other countries.
from the other countries.
Yes.
But, you know, coming from the Philippines, I had an accent, but I could speak English and I could write in English. So I felt so, oh my gosh.
Because you went to what kind of school?
I went to a private school, although it's for my well-off friends. I just happened to be there because I had a scholarship. So we were not well off, but yeah, I had a pretty okay education. I started off with a private school. That's why when I came here, it was not hard for me. In fact, because they were trying to see where I belong, they first send me to these classes, and then the teacher reevaluates you and send you to a next higher level until you know where they think you can make it. So by the time for my English, it was already in the second week.
Yeah.
When I finally got to the highest level that they could send me to for my age, for my grade. And then when I got there, of course, everybody's there already, and they look at me like, you sure you belong in this class? I'm like, oh my gosh, I felt so insulted, but that's okay. You know, pains like that, it helps you grow, or it helps you fight more.
It molds
inside,
you.
because you go, okay, if people think I cannot do this, I will try my best to, to do it. So I think that's why I would always be carrying a dictionary.
That's too funny.
I have this little dictionary, so I knew a lot of words by doing that, because when people, I think, don't think you can do it just because you're an immigrant, then you just want to up yourself a little better. And that's why I hang out with smarter friends.
Yeah, right. That's one positive aspect about her, because if there's a challenge, she will rise to the challenge. Imagine that as a young person, because they were questioning her abilities, that she's carrying a dictionary so that she can improve herself. That's a very, very good trait.
Yeah, you just have to fight. And of course, the culture is so different in school. There in Hawaii, it's called
melting pot.
The melting pot, they say. So we have so many other ethnic groups here. So that's another thing, you have to kind of get used to the different culture, how they treat each other and stuff like that. And in fact, the funny part, this is when you realize, when you're in the Philippines, you're a Filipino. But when you're outside the Philippines, you realize you're a Filipino, but there's a but. If you don't belong to a certain, province, they go, oh yeah, you're Filipino, but, So
But you're not Ilocano.
Yes. Here in Hawaii, there's so many Ilocanos. Although by blood, I'm Ilocano. I didn't speak because I didn't grow up in my dad's province. My dad is Ilocano and my mom is Ilonggo. So anyway, yeah, I could speak Tagalog and Ilonggo, but my classmates can also speak Tagalog, but they'd rather just hang out with each other, because why, give yourself a hard time trying to speak Tagalog when you can just speak Ilocano right away with your friends.
Yeah.
So I understood. It's okay. I didn't feel, because they were still nice to me. It's just that they'd rather hang out with each other. And maybe in a way that kind of helped me improve my English a little bit too, because I forced to make friends with the non-Filipinos. And so I had to speak English.
So there you go again. She has the ability to adapt. Anyway, back to my friend Teda. What else happened to you as you're growing up?
But in the Philippines, you're just kind of, you're gonna finish this and you move on to the next level, and you don't get interrupted unless, of course, some circumstances. You're just expected to get a college education. But here, it's like in high school, like I said, summer class, you can work already. So sometimes you are not focused because you're earning money. And sometimes you kind of delay going to college after you graduate from high school. And maybe I didn't visit my advisor, my counselor much, which I did. And then they put me in front of the computer, and then it asks you questions to supposedly kind of guide you what's your, things that you like to do and help you pursue a certain. After high school, I thought, I wanted to be a dental assistant because, what's another thing was so funny. When I arrived, my dental care wasn't so good. I have all my teeth, but apparently I didn't know how to brush properly. So I had a lot of cavities in the back. So every afternoon I would go to this dentist. It's actually a dental clinic that's for low income because we just arrived from the Philippines. We didn't have dental insurance, so there's a free dental treatments here. So I would go there every afternoon. I would be like, wow, I'm so amazed what the dental assistant does. Because there's so many instruments in front of her. And I said, how does she know which one to give to the dentist? And I thought, that's a neat job. I want to do that.
That's why you wanted to become a dental assistant.
But I didn't know it doesn't pay well. I went to community college to study dental assisting. And back then, we actually had to take the boards.
Yeah,
I was a board certified.
Oh, really?
dental
No, you
assistant.
don't?
Well, you let it go. Like you don't pay anymore after that, so you lose that license. But I love my job though. My boss was a lady dentist, and she's really wonderful. Elsa Mueller. She's already retired, and she was she was somebody to look up to as a dentist, and she's one of the pioneer people here in Hawaii. She has a lot of connections, judges and whatnot.
Wow.
Yeah. When I was working with her, it was like play. I was being paid, and she paid pretty well, but it's more like we were always going out.
Oh, there you go. That's the best kind of work.
I think
if you
so.
consider work as play.
Yes. She would always treat us to lunch, and then she would always take us to nice places to eat. So you get exposed to, nice kind of lifestyle.
The lifestyle. How did you end up becoming a nurse?
And then so I decided to go back to school, and I thought, okay, should I go as the next step from dental assisting into dental hygienist? And I opted for nursing. My auntie who took us here to Hawaii, my dad's sister, she's a nurse, and she always would tell me, be a nurse. And I said, no, I don't want to be a nurse, I'm dirty. And I don't like blood, blah, blah, blah. And then she was, be a nurse because you will never be out of job. You'll be taking care of people. There's always somebody who's sick. And I said, no, I don't want to be a nurse. And look, I ended up being a nurse. And maybe I am cut to be a nurse. I enjoy my job. I opted for the geriatrics because when I was in school and I went through all those different parts, psych and everything, the only stage in life that's acceptable for me for people to go is geriatrics. So that's why I'm okay with that, and I'm there, and I've been there since 92. Same working place, Talinani. I love my job, and it's been good to me. And I've made friends over the years.
Yeah, nursing is a very important job. I salute all the nurses. It's something that I couldn't do because when you think about it, there are life and death situations. In the legal field, you're only dealing with paperwork. So kudos to all the nurses, and good job that you went to geriatrics, you know. it takes a special person, it takes special people to be nurses. So shout out to all the nurses out there. Yay! By the way, how did you become friends?
It's so funny because I think our friendship kind of eased up after a few, I don't know, couple of years. She has her clique already when I arrived, so there was a time when I told her on her birthday, and I said, Sol, I think we're so different from each other and I don't know how we end up being friends. And you said,
I don't remember.
and I remember how you said, no, you just think that way, but we have a lot more in common than you think. So that means I don't really know myself.
Actually, she was much younger at that time, but then of course over the years, she grew up very nicely, and
Very plumply. Look how she's still so sexy. When I saw her, she was always thin, so she maintained it, and that's very good. I was also thin then.
Yeah, well, it's all in the end. So.
Love you, Ernie and Sol. Dictated by Ernie daw.
My husband.